think we're on.
We're on.
So we'll call the meeting to order. Do a roll call.
Jim Ruff.
Deborah Jack.
Nancy Roof. And Joe and David are excused because they're on vacation having fun.
I can note again,
Okay.
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm fine to note again, I'll note away.
You do a lot better.
And then
You
the
can read your notes, I can't.
the minutes from last time, I think according to the resolution, we can't,
Which is fine,
we can't,
the only update I have on the notes is that based on the revisions of like the small spelling errors I had.
I think they're ready to be
Yes,
approved.
yes, correct, so
So,
I'll have those next meeting.
yeah, we'll just wait on those. Okay,
David and Joe, why do I struggle with David and Joe are absent?
so now it's the update on legal counsel. It's not good news, it's not bad news, it's just delay news. I told Frank earlier today, we're meeting tonight and it's on the agenda, the legal, status of the legal counsel, so what should I say? And he got back with me at like 10 till 5. Let's just read it. I will have discussions about the contract with Paul on Monday. Once I have completed my discussions with him, I will let you know when the contract will be signed, but I expect it will be shortly after the meeting.
So Frank, Patrizio and Paul are going to meet Monday to
Yeah.
discuss the contract.
I asked Paul this past week, what's the holdup? And there was, Jerry O'Brien thought everything was gonna be ready to go on Monday.
Mhm.
And then he was told otherwise, and that there was something that Frank and our lawyer needed to talk about regarding the statement of work.
Okay,
And then I saw Frank at the commission meeting and asked him, what's the deal with Dan? And he said, oh, glad you reminded me, I need to talk to the commissioners, that Paul wanted something about the statement of work tweaked.
okay, so we don't know what part or what portion or what
Now,
exactly,
and then
just
I asked
something
him,
that's-
after getting this message, I asked him, what are the issues? And he's not coming up with that, and Dan knows that there's a delay, but I don't know if Frank has talked to him this week at all or not. David asked Dan to get back with us by Friday if Frank had not talked to him by then.
Okay.
So we're just waiting.
Okay.
And I guess it still gives us time to hopefully be able to meet with the commissioners on September 3rd. And we all know that date's coming up.
Mhm.
Dan knows the date's coming up. I think the commissioners know it, so if we can get this all ironed out early next week, we should still be able to pull that off, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like from the emails, Dan has that date kind of at least
Yeah.
somewhat locked in,
Yeah.
free, available, we'll
Right.
say it that way. And so hopefully we can just kind of get that ironed out before then, which would be good for timing.
David and I assume the whole committee will want to know what if any changes happen with the statement of work.
Yeah, I would assume that if there's changes and that those revised changes would go back to Dan would have to kind of resubmit that new SOW. That's like the way that we've done it with contractors, or that's my understanding how at least I operate with contractors.
And we, of course, would have to review that and decide if that's something that we can live with
Correct.
as a committee.
Correct, and we don't know how minor or how
No,
major it
no
is,
idea.
so, cause it could literally be, yeah,
Could be just a word.
it literally could be like changing of some words, or it could be taking away an entire deliverable, so,
Two law firms going back and back could take months.
yeah.
And Paul wasn't at the commissioner meeting, so I assume he's on vacation.
I don't know why he wasn't there. I don't know that it was anticipated. I think he had maybe another engagement across town or something. I'm not sure.
So I don't know why Frank couldn't talk to him tomorrow. But We just have to wait and find out.
So will you be updated on Monday then, and will you share that news with the rest of the committee?
I will be knocking on his door to find out if nobody contacts me.
Okay.
And I'm not sure when David gets back.
I think,
He'll be,
I
well,
think it's-
next week we don't have a meeting.
yeah, next week we don't have a meeting, but I wanna say it's maybe over the weekend.
This
Yeah,
coming
coming
weekend.
weekend, yeah, cause I think he left like the 13th or 14th, didn't he say?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then I think he said it was like a 10-day cruise.
Ah, okay.
Oh, wow.
And then I don't know if we'll have an update for the commissioners meeting or not, depending on how that gets structured. We're supposed to do an update, but if there's an executive session before the meeting, would that be likely? And then the commissioners would go to their regular meeting, then maybe we would stay with Dan, then there wouldn't be an opportunity for an update. So I'm not sure how that's all gonna work out. I assume Frank or Paul will tell us what's going on.
I mean, the update is, they know the update, which is like we've heavily been working with the legal counsel side of things.
Well,
I mean, of course, you've been doing, you know,
yeah, I think we could be a little broader than that, and as far as I'm concerned, we're not only updating the commissioners, we're updating the public.
This is, yep, so that's fair.
I did go to the wastewater treatment plant, and I sent you some very
Smells nice.
poor videos, a lot of me just walking. The sun was so bright, I could not tell if my camera was on or not, but I typed up today that I went back and listened to it and tried to capture the conversation that Morel and I were having.
You did enjoy the smell.
They were just,
Wasn't too bad, was it?
it wasn't near as bad. I mean, I was thinking, do I wear boots? Am I gonna be walking through muck?
No.
Actually, it was very clean,
Clean, yes.
very organized. There were 2 stinky places, and there should be. He said actually odor is important in the treatment of the water, and the color of the water is important. It should be certain colors at certain stages of the treatment. So the worst part is when the sewage is first coming into the plant and they have to separate out all, like, things that are not biodegradable.
Right.
That have been thrown into the sewers that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So they get that out of there, and then they start sort of the actual treatment process. And one big difference for me was that the new water plant is based on chemicals for its treatment, and the wastewater is based on biology of things biodegrading and breaking down.
The little creatures eat everything.
Yeah, I don't think they put creatures in there.
No, I mean.
He didn't mention that, but.
The microorganisms.
Yeah, that interact and kill it. It is interesting to see the process though.
Yeah, I'd recommend it, and he did a good job of, me just popping up out of the blue. What do I know, what I don't know, what do I wanna know? So it took about an hour, and, so it's in the notes as to, if you want to look at them, or I recommend you take a tour of any of those plants.
Very interesting.
I'm thinking now, what's my next tour? I'm sort of hooked on it now.
Well, if the power plant was operating, that was a treat. That's really something.
That's a big building,
Yeah, a lot of floors above, and a lot of floors below.
but that's all shut down, right?
Yeah. Years ago, the government told them they had to, put the water back into the river at the temperature. the right
Oh, it
temperature.
was too hot, or?
Well, cause the water gets hot, right?
Yeah.
Well, during the hottest time of the year, the water in the river was hotter than the water they put back, so they had to warm it up.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Now, there's
It's
some,
stupid.
there's some building down on South 25A that on the west side, and I think it's about recycling, waste and recycling. And I was wondering if that was city-owned, or is that a private industry, or,
Oh, do you mean it's like newly painted? It's kind of right past the railroad tracks. Like, off if you're on like.
It's not far out of town.
Yeah, it's like, kind of like if you were gonna go on 75, like there's both those intersections and then cross the railroad tracks, it's like right there. That recycling center.
I'm not picturing what you're
No, not
describing.
either. I'm lost, sorry.
No, you're fine. It would like kick out to like, what's that one
It's
road?
probably not too terribly far from that new bicycle path bridge down there.
Oh, were you talking about the brown building?
It might be brown. And it's waste, I think it's waste something and recycling.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that the Troy transfer station?
I did say something about transfer station.
Well, there's a big sign out, that's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to
Was there,
tell.
right next to it, can you remember, was there like a junkyard with a bunch of cars and stuff?
I don't know, maybe.
There's
Unless
big
they got-
buildings next to the junkyard.
So you
Yeah.
think it's either Troy or it's
That's like where the city takes, when they come around and pick up all your trash, they haul it all over there.
The transfer station.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah,
Well, everybody in my
That's the
town
county.
has to go there.
yeah,
Private or public has to go there.
Private or public.
Yeah,
If
county
they're all in
and
waste, they have to go there.
and they will take anything.
there's a big banner out front of it.
Yeah,
It says
Wednesdays, I think you can take all your anything.
Yeah.
Recycling this day or,
Because at the wastewater plant, my understanding was that when they take out the non-biodegradable stuff.
Yeah.
Then they contract with somebody to come with like a garbage truck and it picks it up and takes it to a landfill.
right, the garbage here in the county goes, 99% of the garbage here, I guess that's the word you can say, garbage, goes to Bell Fountain, outside of Bell Fountain. There's a massive landfill there.
Ah,
And
okay.
so, but every county mandates basically that you have to come.
But that doesn't
To your center.
necessarily apply to the wastewater plant.
They probably were given permit, or decades ago, were permitted to take their scrap with a private contractor and haul it to another landfill. It has to be approved landfill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they may have never changed that, but when it comes to garbage.
Well, I think for me, it's another potential tour.
Yeah, you know,
Just kind of fitting all the pieces of the whole water thing
go to the
together.
landfill, really enjoy it.
I've been to the Cincinnati Rumpke landfill.
Oh,
Really?
it's huge,
Yeah, it's amazing.
massive place.
Who's the contact that you were with for your tour again? What was this?
For the wastewater, Morel Clay, Marill, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so the status of the upcoming interviews. David had some edits for that letter that you're putting together.
Yes, and I already got those edits sent back out to, so the way it works is I have the Word document and then they take that and they put it into the PDF. I don't have a PDF editor, like a tool, a PDF editor tool. So I'm just taking that Word document, sending it back to them, then they'll just convert it to a PDF with that letterhead on it. So I got those revisions sent out and emailed over to, it wasn't Michelle Perry, it's like maybe two people that report to Michelle Perry, I'm not sure on the work structure, but I just sent it back out to those.
So it won't be personalized.
We can, I can ask them for a box, like a editable fill-in box on a PDF.
Yeah.
So we do that, like you can take PDFs and have like that box where it's still a PDF, so you can't change it.
You can't change anything else,
But you can
insert the name.
change the name, like so we can say like, dear Mr. Wolferdorf, or dear, Carrie whoever would say.
I think that'd be nice.
Yeah.
It'd make them feel like we're,
A little more personable than
Yeah.
just a generic letter, I would agree.
that it's more
Yeah.
important to us than a generic letter.
So I'll send that, I'll send that with I just sent them an email today with those revisions, so I'll just ask for an editable box too.
And I don't think we were gonna send those out until our first meeting in September.
Correct.
Is that right?
I'm a little bit confused cause I know Joe mentioned on waiting on the lawyer's advice for the interviews.
That's true.
So I don't,
I would prefer to wait and say.
Well, if we meet with them on the 3rd,
It's right around the
You
corner.
do the same thing
it's the
first.
same week.
okay, so anyways, point being the edits are almost I'll get those edits
Okay.
that we just talked about back over to them.
Do you have all the email addresses that you need?
No, that's, I went through my list, because I put if we've contacted them, if we haven't contacted, if they've accepted, rejected, if they did accept, did they do a written or, discussion, like an actual in-person interview, so written or in person. So that's all the columns I added to my Excel list that I was already tracking for people. I have to get your list back up, to add, because you have a lot more contacts than me. I just was like, here's my additions to yours. So I do not have all the email addresses. I have not really a clue on how we would get all of those.
Is there a way to send us the list and then if we happen to have them or
Yeah,
wanna do some research, we can help you out?
I'll just, cause I was trying to get it as complete as possible, but I'm at a loss on these email contacts. So I'll just send over that new Excel list with those additional columns that I've added, and then just send it out to you guys and have you guys fill in what you can.
Now, if it's a city employee,
Correct. There's a,
you can,
yeah,
Get
yeah,
those
we have
used
that,
like-
and there's a process, but I guess we technically have to use.
okay, anything else on interviews? And then the second round of questions for Paul, I think that's pretty much in David's hands.
Mhm.
I'm not enthusiastic about doing a second round. I think
So-
just as fine skipping it.
Blame
just-
David for taking a
just-
cruise.
Or add him to the list and sort of
Yeah, you can
start
do
over.
that. You can do
Yeah.
that.
If he wants to turn us down again, then he can do that.
That's what I was thinking, is almost like,
Keep it universal, just,
yeah,
okay?
but just note that, I mean, obviously in my notes I have accepted but in person, so then there's that, at least noted that we technically, have had some interview information from him was not in person.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll put the new, cause I'm even tracking like the date that we're, the date we send out the letter and or have contacted them, and then what their response was on their date that they sent us.
Who's the letters coming back to?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
I just happened to think of that.
So there's two ways that we could go about it. We could do email or we can do mail. If it's email, I would suggest doing the training committee email as a response.
Yes, yeah, because that's a neutral.
Yeah, which would come back to then me, which I'm pretty swift at getting those sent out to you guys
Yep.
whenever I
So
receive
so
emails.
that language is
Yeah.
now gonna be added
Yeah.
too.
It's a great call out. So I'll add
So
a line item.
if somebody wants to choose to mail it back to you? No, we don't wanna do that.
No,
We don't wanna give somebody's address. I don't want to come to your
I mean, I
house.
guess you could,
Nah, we
you
won't
could
do that.
Google it, but we could we have it,
It can be delivered to the city and they'll just hold it.
yeah,
I mean, they can't open mail, it's illegal. Thing to you. It could have the committee's name, you could,
I would just
we
take-
could include
To the city.
a envelope,
To the committee in care of,
put a return
Frank.
envelope in it with the name and address on it.
say that again,
If you have them, make return envelopes with the name already typed
oh,
within it. And that way it comes
then
in that
there's
name.
no question
There's
on
no
if
question
they,
who it goes to,
yeah.
what it is, because if there's nothing on it, it just says city clerk, but they're gonna open it to figure out. what it
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
so,
I'm hoping most of it that we can just do email,
Yes, yes.
a little quicker. Not no snail mail.
Snail mail. Hey,
Although I was at a UPS facility, I have to tell the story, cause I was at a UPS facility before, and you would think, they have miles of
Oh,
conveyor in those
oh, yeah.
buildings. And the amount of letters and just notes that are just way under these conveyors, I'm like, oh, these people are never gonna get it. And there's, I'm like,
it's true.
I mean, and you can't touch it, I mean, they're a union, so like you can't, but I'm like, I would really wanted to grab, cause I'm like, what if, whatever's in this letter that's like, hey,
Could
you know,
change somebody's
it
life.
could.
It could be somebody's extended car warranty.
It could be that too, it could be that too. But my head goes to like a Hallmark movie, right? It's
Yeah.
like, this could be a letter that, you know, this person's been waiting on for years, that's been sitting under
But
this
it happens in
conveyor.
the mail too. I mean, you know, with the state, and so many facilities falls underneath the conveyor belt or something.
Irrelevant, sorry, that's a tangent, but I
But
just
where
thought
was
it
it
was-
at?
What?
Where'd you go to this one at?
This one was at Atlanta, down in Atlanta.
Okay, cause they got a big one in Louisville too.
They do, we have
Yeah.
been to that.
Oh, have you? He gets around.
So that's when you take your tours.
Well, in investigating,
Yeah.
in sightseeing.
Sightseeing.
Yeah.
Okay, progress reports or whatever you've been working on, wanna share?
I mean, pretty much the letter which was sent out to you guys. Nancy, I saw that you put more invoice stuff together. You just sent that to me, so
I
I'll
just
make
sent
sure that that's an action item for me is to add that too, cause on the timeline, remember, I have like invoice as
Yeah.
one swim lane. I have like events, invoice, complaints, and I forget the other line item, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but that, and then I'll work on getting all those invoice, like the money tracking piece added. Cause I only had a couple right now, but I'll look through it.
I wouldn't
That's relevant.
swear to the accuracy of my chart of invoices.
Yeah,
Some of them feel like duplicates at times, and so I don't know if it was for two different projects or
Yeah.
and one got delayed or I wouldn't swear to the authenticity of the whole thing. So
Okay.
I don't know if you should really even put them on the timeline.
so maybe I'll just go through it though, I mean, I'll still go through it regardless. Maybe there's something there that I can do some kind of,
There's a few that I reference in my what do we know.
and those would already be
And
there,
those-
cause I already have a couple on there, but not a lot.
And I could still go back and work more on those invoices and compare them to some that Diane Park gave us. I haven't done that,
Yeah.
double checking. And I have to just kind of decide, is that really that important that I spend my time on that versus something else? So it's the best I can do at the moment.
Yeah, okay. So I will hold off on, but I'll still go through it, but I'll hold off on adding to the
The
timeline.
complaints I think are more important and more accurate.
Other than that, the other item I was working on is I'm trying to persuade, this person to be comfortable speaking publicly, just about their experience with like lithium-ion batteries and what they know about chemicals. They're a chemical engineer that's focused on lithium-ion batteries. But I don't wanna, if they don't wanna talk publicly, I don't need to just interview him one-on-one, cause that I could, but I already know what he would tell me on other things, I want him to speak publicly, so you guys could also hear what he has to say. Versus me interviewing him and then me telling you what he said,
Be tough to have him,
yeah.
because, you know, do I get involved?
He doesn't wanna put himself out there as an
Yeah,
expert.
yeah, and I think he's I think he's slightly worried, like questioning, like, am I really like am I specialized enough in this, do I know enough about this stuff, even though he's been in the field for 20-some years,
He knows
focused
more
on
than you do.
lithium-ion batteries. So I think that's just something he's trying to.
Have you talked to him enough that you could sort of convey what you've learned from him?
Yeah, I could do that, I just think it would be better for you guys to be able to ask
yeah.
questions too.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure that out, I'm trying to persuade him to see if he's willing.
Or if he has any documents.
Or if he has, any other materials or information that he'd be willing to share, but
And reading some aid documents, it'd be nice to talk to somebody.
exactly, exactly. And I get it, I mean, I get where you might question like, ooh, like I don't know if I'm specialized enough in this, but
Yeah, I can understand that.
yeah, I know, I can get it, it's hard to be, you don't have,
As a private citizen,
yeah,
I don't want to get caught in a lawsuit or something,
you,
you know,
yeah.
if I said something.
Yeah, which I get it, so worst case scenario, I'll at least maybe ask what kinds of questions you guys might have before I would talk to him one-on-one. And or just talk to him and then say, here's the information you shared with me, does anyone have follow-up questions that I could kind of go back to them with. Either or. That's what I've been working on.
Keep his identity secret.
Anything you wanna,
With the information that's been given out, I ain't been around much in 2 weeks either.
yeah, well, it's August,
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Well, I just talked about the legal stuff, the invoices,
that was the
and the
most important.
what do we know stuff. I'm continuing to work on that.
When you feel like you're at a good next stopping point, just let me know. And then I can continue to build on.
Well, I was waiting on you to send me
Do you want
back
me to send back all
the
the
ones
things?
that, so I know.
Yep.
If I'm confusing you, if you're, if you're
No, you're good.
picking out the things
I
that I'm
don't get
hoping that
that.
you'd pick out.
Yeah, I will get cause I got through it all.
I forget how many pages I've sent you.
It was about, well, it started with, the first round was like 8 or 9,
Yeah,
and then you
small.
sent me an additional I think the total might be 26 or an additional 26
Oh,
pages.
okay, that many.
But I got through that part, so I just need to send you exactly like the grade. Some of it, of course, like where you have questions or boxes, like where you have, more like, they're not necessarily questions, but I think you're more just like, maybe, I don't wanna say speculating, but maybe speculating is like, based on the information, maybe it leans into this. I didn't add those pieces to the timeline, I added in like all the other boxes, so when I send it back to you, you'll see everything in green text. I just switched to green text, will be like exactly what I put on the sticky note.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I will get that, I have told you that the last week, 2 week, do whenever I was here the
And
last time.
I'm up to 34 pages of it now.
Okay,
And I think I mentioned the last meeting, I'm just gonna arbitrarily cut myself off at 50
Yeah.
if I get that far.
Yeah.
And just decide that's enough, now we need to look at it and
and kind of digest it.
what does it mean, is it relevant and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. Okay, so that is the green text.
So how do you guys see this all coming together? How are you feeling at this point?
I'm really excited to get the lawyer. Meaning,
Yeah, I think we all
I
are.
think we've done
You've about done all you can do.
We've done all we can do with the documents that have been given to us from citizens, from Frank, from our own research, from all of that. I feel like we're as far as we can get with that. I feel like the big missing piece that's going to add a lot of meat to our report is going to be actually interviewing, people that were involved in, and I don't mean involved like directly involved, indirectly or directly involved, right? I think we're missing a lot of that. And I think that will give a lot more color to the report.
I think we know enough of the situation by now that we'll have better questions
Correct.
than we would have.
Almost a silver lining is agreed. And the silver lining for us not getting interviews right away is now we're a little bit smarter, more educated on what we might wanna ask, where we feel like there's holes at, where we might wanna do some more digging in some areas than others. So that is a silver lining of being rejected.
And as long as we're being recorded, I hope that people that we ask to interview realize that we are really looking towards their knowledge and expertise to fill in these holes.
Yeah.
We really want to answer some of these questions, just to clear things up,
Yeah,
to cancel things out that maybe we don't need to be concerned about.
yeah. Agreed.
I'm just kind of waiting to see what he says next week, or 2 weeks.
Yeah,
How do we wanna, take what you have now, and let's do this, and fill it in the blanks to begin the final reports. And then, as a draft,
Mhm.
and then let him review it. Look at it, maybe he wants to, and then, no, let's do this, we'll change this, or things like that. And,
Yeah,
well, we certainly want him to look at the final draft over.
oh yeah, definitely.
And to make sure that we're headed in the right
Right
direction. But to read everything that we're writing over and over as we're writing it could be too much of
Oh yeah,
his valuable time.
I think he's gonna be able to show you how to structure.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's how I feel, I guess. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
I feel like we're all,
I feel like we're still at the bottom of a mountain. And the five of us have to climb up that mountain together.
Yeah.
And, I don't think it's gonna be an easy climb. But we're all hanging in there and, we're all ready to do it. And with his help as our Sherpa, maybe we can
yeah.
get this job done.
Yeah, I feel like between March and now, it's been a lot of just training to climb the mountain. You know what I mean? Like almost using that. I feel like it's just been a lot of training to climb the mountain, but now we're there, right? It's like now we're there and we have to like, it's to the really like, hard
We've
work.
gotten to base camp.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll quit.
That was a cliffhanger.
Might jump off the mountain.
No,
You're
I
sitting-
won't.
no, just kidding.
Okay, so then there's no meeting next week,
Correct.
Yeah,
So the next
that's when
time-
I'll be going.
okay?
Okay.
Well, and actually that works out fine for me, it's just now dawning on me because I've been called for jury duty on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, maybe it'll be a day, maybe it'll be a week, who
You enjoy
knows? I've done it, this would be my fourth
Are
time,
you serious?
not here in Marion County,
But I
but
mean,
in Indianapolis.
wow.
Yeah, I was, actually on the jury, then I was an alternate, and then I was a reject. So we'll see what category I can come up with this time.
Wow.
But
Never been questioned,
it's,
never been fired, nothing.
it's a solemn thing to do, solemn
Yeah, I do it,
responsibility.
I mean, but never been asked.
So then the next time we'd see each other would be September 3rd, if that works out. And then we'll, on that Tuesday, and then we meet on that Thursday.
Yeah, which would be the fifth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will send out an email on this. There are some dates that I'm trying to figure out how I navigate on Thursdays. So my Thursdays aren't great for September because my
Okay.
daughter's in soccer and I'm missing, she has her first game tonight and
Oh,
so I'm missing her
What
first
time
game.
to start?
It's 6:15, so I'm like, maybe I can get.
You're gonna get going.
No, I'm not, she knows, I told her, I was like, maybe I'll try to get there halfway through. So anyways, just an update on my like personal work schedule is September is not great for Thursdays for me on the 5th and the following week, but I can do a Wednesday. I know the 3rd we're already meeting. I could do a Wednesday or I can be absent the 5th. The only thing is I don't wanna be because obviously we're just meeting with the lawyer or hopefully on the 3rd. So don't hold up on me, but I just wanna communicate on that 5th.
So for sure, the 5th, you'll be absent.
Unless we could do the 4th. And or I could do, I know for Joe, and we don't have to change, I was gonna say, you guys, you're retired Nancy, cause I can also like do it over lunch, but then I know that Rex, like the citizens being able to join us as well, so.
I don't mind doing a date here or there.
So I just know the 5th does not work for me, and then in October, I have a pretty heavy travel schedule for work in October, so the week of the 14th, I'm out, I'm giving a presentation at a conference, and then the week of the 21st, I'll be out, cause I'm going to be in Portugal for work. So, do you want me to pack you in my suitcase?
Could you do that? Wow, I'll go.
So,
I think.
She gets demerits for that, I think.
I
think on those kind of days,
so, yeah.
I think on those, we just say, instead of Thursday, let's do it Wednesday, cause I think she's valuable to hear.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't wanna,
So if we can do September 4th, that would be great. If not, I can try to see what I can do. That's the only date in September I think that is weird.
Okay.
One that I would like to try to make that game for her.
Sure.
October is like I'm completely out in the week of the 14th and then the following week of the 21st. And it's just because that's how my work
Yeah.
schedule is, yeah.
Could you send maybe all of us an email telling us when you're not available?
Yeah, and I'll send an email. I just want to verbally
Yeah, yeah.
communicate,
That's-
like a
that's
heads
okay,
up.
yeah.
And then I'll do kind of, I think I did this for August too, is like, because the 15th I was on
Yes.
vacation, then there was another day because I was
yes,
work related something and or anyway, so personal stuff. So I will send an email with just here's my at least 2-month schedule looking out. So some, and I'm always happy to, like, if I'm not physically flying on the set, like October 17th or that day, I'm always happy to like dial in remote too. I don't know what that looks like, but I offered that to David the one time too. I was like, I had somebody personal come up and I was like, I'm happy to dial in while I'm driving.
You know,
Well, I mean, maybe we need to experiment with that because that'd be a way of communicating with Dan also.
Yeah, correct, yeah. Yeah, so that way and that way I'm not that way I'm not completely absent or, you know.
So do we know if this would work?
It looks like it's.
I think it had Teams on it, cause I think that's the method that we were using to record earlier. I just don't know which account is logged into it, but they set me up for remote Teams to be at the commission meeting last week, so
Okay,
it's certainly possible.
it's certainly possible, so maybe with enough notice. we
That's
can figure it out.
Microsoft?
Yeah, Microsoft Teams.
Does that come free if you have
At the
Microsoft?
city, yeah, well, it depends.
Well, could it be, if you have it already, I mean, I wouldn't have it at home, but I don't need it at home, just need it here.
The city would have to send the link because you can only, unless you have like the really expensive corporate license, you can't like just randomly Teams people between organizations, you have to be in the same organization. Or the organization has to
Like
have sent
sends
you
you
a
an
link.
invite,
Yeah, so.
and that will have a dial in, either dial in number, depending on the license, dial in number, or like a link to physically.
So I would send an email to your liaison at Patrizio's office, Patrizio and Mr. Oberdorfer, and just let them know that you'd like to explore being able to go in remotely using Teams.
Okay.
And just what they think that would look like. I assume is that meeting day gonna be in this room?
Oh, well, that depends on the availability here. If we move on to Thursday, I'll have to ask.
And if we move off of Thursday, I could physically be here, but this is still obviously
Well,
something
that's
we wanna
true.
explore. If we keep it on that Thursday, then I can just dial in.
I guess just start asking questions.
Yeah.
And maybe copy David.
Are you guys okay if I just take lead on trying to figure out how remote access, since I'm kind of the one that's being paid in the butt?
Yeah, okay, go for it.
And even if this doesn't have Teams installed on it, we can still log in with like the web app. So like even like I could do that. It's anybody with a Pickwa email address could log into the Office 365 on the web,
Mm-hmm.
get into Teams and then send you a link. So
Thank you, that's good feedback, good suggestions, I'll need that as another action item.
Now we're to public comment. We have 3 publics.
Are you guys gonna have the lawyer present when you do interviews?
We hit that at the beginning of the meeting,
Oh,
but
sorry.
no, that's okay. I asked Frank, I said, we're gonna be meeting tonight, so that's on the agenda, the status, so what should we say? And he has to talk to, he's working something out about Dan's statement of work. And we don't know what the issue is, but he's going to be talking to Paul about it on Monday. And hopefully they'll work things out and they can sign the contract. And then Jericho was imagining that the next step then is that if there is a change to the statement of work, Dan would have to make that change, send it back in, and they will have to approve it again, and
Yeah.
so
But
that.
you guys are still wanting to do like actual interviews instead
Correct.
of just all questions emailed?
With the interview questions, yeah, we've come up with a template to send out to a whole long list of people with our first request to be an in-person interview, and then sort of the second request is written questions. So we wanna send those out after we meet with the lawyer.
If you're asking if the lawyer will be physically present during these interviews, I don't necessarily, no. I think it could make people feel leery about sharing information with the lawyer present
We didn't buy enough.
and by the
hours.
time. That's, but like just from a budget perspective too, but I mean, I guess we will see what his advice is on that.
The only thing I was thinking was like, if you get somebody that you're actually asking questions too, and you get into the topic pretty good. The whole idea of having the lawyer too was to protect you guys. So to me, you know, like if you're asking questions and stuff, unless you're going exactly question per question and not talking about anything else or making any other comments, you know what I mean? You, with the lawyer here sitting even kind of like that, he could say, you guys probably shouldn't ask that or reword that, you know what I mean?
It's a good point, but I can't see,
He'd be coming up here all the time.
but we're gonna send, well, I mean, we're being
Well, you could-
optimistic.
You could schedule them,
We're probably gonna send it out to like 15 people.
but you could like schedule, you're probably talking what, 20-minute, 30-minute interview?
No, I would allow at least an hour typically to really get into like like to have a fruitful discussion. I always generally would at least say an hour, and then sometimes you need it all and you need to schedule more time, and then other times 30 minutes is fine. But at least from a general inquiry, I would say at least giving the interviewee to expect an hour. Like this will, expect an hour. If it takes more, we'll stop, and we don't wanna go over time unless you tell us it's okay. And if it doesn't take the full hour, that's great too. So if you take an hour times, 24 interviews, that's a lot of, that's a lot of, I like your thinking, it's a good point, I understand where you're at. I just don't know from a budget perspective if that's something.
Are you bringing in like Nick Warner or anybody, gonna try to interview?
Well, I mean, we're posing the question, I don't know, out of 15, 20 queries, I'd be surprised if we get 5.
But won't he be able to actually force them to come in?
Well, we don't know, that could be one of the problems with the statement of work.
And see, technically, we're not a committee of a criminal investigation or anything like that. There's a whole, I mean, if we found that out and was going to that, then it's gotta disappear from us. It's gotta go to the attorneys and they investigate and
Right, we do have subpoena power, we're told, we can't enforce it, but
can't enforce it.
it could still be enough of a lure that, or, I don't know, enough seriousness attached to it that somebody would want to come in. Nick Warner, I don't know him, I don't know if he's gonna be willing to talk to us or not, don't know. We're gonna ask them.
Gotta ask, the worst they can say is no.
I mean, I would think somebody like Nick Warner, who was actually the one in charge out there, would probably be at least the one that you would want the attorney sitting in on.
And that's possible, we could pick and choose.
Yeah, when you're talking like city employees and stuff like that, just asking them questions about what went on that they saw and stuff like that. I mean, you're probably not gonna get into anything that's gonna be have to put you in a situation where it can come back at you. But Nick Warner, the one that's kind of like the one that got out of hand out there, if you get to have an interview with him, I would think that it would be.
And I guess it's a question for the lawyer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we just don't know enough yet of his perspective on, Dan's perspective.
Right. That's why we're eager to get him, because we're not lawyers. But it's a good point to think
And
about.
he's done some work already. So,
He must think he can assist us, or he wouldn't be
Yeah.
even
he wouldn't offer,
considering it.
yeah, you're right.
Okay. Anything else, anybody?
I believe that there is another special commission meeting on Monday, which I'm wondering now that you said that Patrizio is gonna talk to Oberdorfer on Monday, I'm wondering if those incidents are related. I don't know what it's about, I just know that I got a schedule for Monday at 5. It's presumably on the website or will be shortly, because we have to announce that
When
stuff.
it's a special meeting, is that open to the public?
It depends on what it is. If it's a special meeting for an executive session, it's not, but if it's a special meeting for something we have to vote on, we have to vote on it publicly, so it is.
Okay,
I don't know if, I suspect part of it's an executive session, but I didn't look super closely at it, I just blocked it in my schedule for Monday.
Well, let me read again what he said. This is Frank. I will have discussions about the contract with Paul on Monday. Once I have completed my discussions with him, I will let you know when the contract will be signed, but I expect it will be shortly after that meeting.
Oh, I apologize, it's not this Monday, it's on the 9th, so,
September.
never mind, we don't have a commission meeting this Monday.
Okay,
I would say
that was sort of reading like it was during the day to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be something else totally different.
So.
Spend more money.
discussion. You just scratch your comment from public forum.
Yeah, scratch that.
Appreciate that.
Anything else?
Alicia, anything?
It's great weather
It is.
this week. I
Crickets.
enjoyed it very much.
It's hard to dress for though.
Just got a sweater in the car.
I know, oh.
I wear shorts down to like 55, so.
But in the morning,
But you lose sweatshirts and
yeah, I
Oh,
know.
Well, in the
You
morning,
take them off.
I wear pants at work,
So
so.
do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, yeah.
Second. I'll second.
Okay. Carries, we're adjourned.
We should have talked about shorts until it's turned off.